Hey guys, welcome back to the Teach series. My name is Adam Zapf and I'm 18 years old and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I currently live in Orlando, Florida, where I'm an incoming freshman at the University of Central Florida, where I'm pursuing music education and trumpet performance. Today we're basically just going to be talking about the organization known as Drum Corps International and how that's influenced and inspired me to pursue music into my later career. We hope you enjoy and we hope you learn something. So, Drum Corps is a nonprofit organization under the organization Drum Corps International. It's comprised of numerous world-class and open-class groups that are dedicated to educating young performers all across the United States and sometimes even across the world. You have international students, you have kids from Japan, from the UK, everywhere all over the world. And the main goal for the organization is to provide those kids not only an experience in performance, but also get a hands-on experience on what it's like to be educated by some of the finest music and visual educators in the entire world.
Where have you marched with Drum Corps? Let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit.
So over the past 3 years, I've kind of gone across the country in regards to where I've actually marched. So in 2018, when I was 15 years old, I first started off at a group based in Atlanta, Georgia, called the Spirit of Atlanta Drum and Bugle Corps. And I marched there for about roughly 1 year for the 2018 season. And then after that, I marched with a group based out of Rosemont, Illinois, which is close to Chicago, called the Cavaliers Drum and Bugle Corps, which is more so in the Midwest. And then finally this year, and for the rest of the years that I have, I'm going to be marching with a group based out of Concord, California, called the Blue Devils Drum and Bugle Corps.
So what are some of the similarities and differences you've noticed between the different places you've marched?
It's really a different vibe everywhere you go, and I tried to plan that to get that experience. So I marched in an East Coast Corps, got the East Coast education. I marched a Midwestern Corps, got the Midwestern experience, and now I'm marching a West Coast Corps, and I'm getting that West Coast experience. But something that I find similar across all of those organizations is that they put a huge emphasis on the fundamentals there, and I think that's the most similar thing that I can get. But other than that, they contrast like very heavily in how they approach everything, whether that's visual or musical.
What are some different examples of like contrast between different corps and how they operate with that?
So one thing that I've noticed in regards to the differences between the feelings and the vibes and the experience you get at all these different corps based on the region, it goes throughout anything. You know, the way they teach the music, the way they teach the little things in there, like the articulations, how loud you're going to be, and the exercises even. They, like the fundamentals and the roots, they're all quite different. East Coast corps tend to be a little bit more aggressive and just focus on the idea of, oh, we want to get in the most reps possible. Midwestern corps are really focused on the idea of, we may not do the most reps, but we're going to be the most detailed and we're going to try and be the cleanest that we can be. And West Coast corps are really big on confidence, really big on control, relaxation during everything that you do. So there's no aggression, there's no like overwhelming energy during your performance. It's always relaxed, it's always energetic, but it's not to the point where you feel uncomfortable. You always have that sort of that peak. They do try to heavily pinpoint the idea of, hey, we need to be relaxed, but we need to look as confident and as cool as possible and as smooth as possible when we're doing something like this. West Coast is big on jazz music, so jazz music isn't supposed to be played clean all the time, so you got to give it a little bit of crunch, a little bit of dirt, but East Coast and Midwest, they're more of an orchestral-based horn line sound, while West Coast corps sound more of like a jazz ensemble.
What was your first drum corps experience, or what was the show that made you want to get into the activity?
So my first ever drum corps experience was, I would say, the summer of 2017. It was June 20th, 2017, and I remember this day because I find it as like one of the most important days of my life. There was a rehearsal going on roughly in an area called St. Genevieve, Missouri, and there was a group there called the Crossmen Drum and Bugle Corps that were rehearsing there because they were going to be going to the Indy premiere show on June 22nd. And I had only seen a few videos of drum corps, and I always thought it was super cool, but I've never heard a drum corps live before. So I told my mom, I said, hey, there's a drum corps in town, roughly about 45 minutes away. We should go there and go see them. So we drove out there and we sat in for ensemble, which was that evening. It was a nice, cool evening, surprisingly, in Missouri during the summertime. But I just remember one of the first things I heard when they repped it was their ballad that year. And it was a song by Radiohead that they played, and I just remember just being so infatuated by the way they were performing, the way they were just so invested. And I was astounded by the way that they listened to the instructors and the way they put all their energy and dedication to every single rep. I had never seen anything like it my entire life. And the second I heard them turn to the front sideline and blast that hit for the ballad, I was completely blown away. I could feel the bleachers rumbling and vibrating under me, and I could feel my rib cage just vibrating and resonating with the brass sound, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And at that moment, I knew that I needed to do this some way, somehow. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know when I was going to do it, but I knew at that moment, I told my mom, I said, I'm going to do this one day. And she says, I see why you want to do it so badly now. So that was one of the most pivotal moments of my life right there.
Cool. So what is your favorite thing about drum corps?
I have to say my favorite thing about drum corps, it's really difficult to just pinpoint one favorite thing. I have numerous favorite things about it, but one thing that I really grow to appreciate is the idea of just traveling across the United States. There's so many places that I've been able to travel thanks to drum corps that I would have never gone out of my way to travel. In 2018, we did an East Coast tour, and we went up all the way up into New England and up there near like Vermont and New Hampshire. You know, I didn't even believe those states existed at the time, but you know, you see them, and I was just amazed. I was traveling the world. I was seeing things I had never seen before. And especially in 2019 for the Cavaliers, we did a West Coast tour, and we passed through Nebraska, we passed through Utah, and even Nevada, which I had never been to Nevada before. And just seeing those different climates, and especially Wyoming, it was some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And I have to thank drum corps for opening my eyes to something like that, because I don't think if I had never done the activity, I would have never seen the country like I have before and like I have now. It's truly been an honor, and it's really a privilege to just be able to go on a bus and to just travel anywhere you go without any restrictions, any blockages, or any doubt in your mind. And another thing that I really love about drum corps is just the people that you meet. And that goes for everybody. It goes for the volunteers who help cook your meals. It goes for the educators who teach you how to play your instrument or how to march. And it especially goes for the members who are there with you. I've met some incredible people from all the drum corps that I've marched, and all over the world as well. I've met people from Japan, I've met people from Canada, I've met people from the UK, and all of these people are so amazing, and they have such a great drive and a great dedication to everything that they do. And I think just being able to march at least one season of drum corps makes you a far better person for your future. You're more prepared, you feel more responsible, and you feel more at ease when life comes at you. It's not so much as I'm learning, how to play my instrument, or I'm learning how to march. It's really I'm learning how to live my life. I'm learning how to really just be prepared for anything that life throws at me. And I can definitely, I could put money on the idea that other people could say that too.
But what is your favorite memory from your different seasons that you marched?
I think my favorite memory from drum corps would definitely have to be the 2018 season in its entirety, because that was such an emotional season for me. I was very unprepared at first, and I had to prove my worth and to prove my skills to everybody, because a lot of the members, they were kind of concerned about me, how well I was going to do, and some of the staff was too. But I think that challenge and that motivation really made me the person I am today, and just being able to, work as hard as I can and to grow and to find a passion in the marching arts and to have all of that pay off towards the end. It was one of the most rewarding things in my life. Just being able to see, even at the St. Louis Regional, seeing my family for the first time since May. So it's been 2 months since I had seen my family, and I felt like a completely different person. I see everybody, and everybody is coming up to me after the show saying, "Wow, that was incredible! You looked amazing out there. You guys sounded so good." And just having that approval, not only from the people you march with, but that newfound approval that you never knew of before from the people that you've known all your life, it's something that words can't even describe how amazing something like that feels. So overall, that season, my rookie season with Spirit of Atlanta, that was so rewarding. And I just have to say, I can't pinpoint one favorite thing or one favorite memory from drum corps in its entirety, but that season in its entirety was probably my favorite memory of my drum corps career so far.
Awesome. What is the hardest thing for you about drum corps?
I'd have to say the hardest thing about drum corps is pushing through all the tough moments and trying to find your motivation at times. It can be really difficult when you're doing the same thing every day and staying outside 12 to 14 hours a day, rehearsing, sweating, and just doing the same thing over and over again. Rinse, wash, repeat. And that especially happens during spring training, because you're putting the show on the field and you're trying to learn everything and get it all tweaked and perfected to put on the road. And it's often tough to remember why you're doing it. And it's often tough to remember, why exactly you signed up for it in the first place. But, there's times, you hit a wall. You sometimes you miss home, you miss the people back at home, and you miss life, and you just miss kind of living normally. But then at a certain point, you come to find, you look at the people to your left and right, and you realize they're going through the exact same thing as you. They're sweating just as much as you. They're running just as much as you, and they're playing all day just as much as you, and they're probably really tired too. And I think that sort of empathy that everybody all together has for one another, I think that helps motivate me in the long run, even when everything seems to crumble and fall, and you want to quit, you want to take a nap, because there's days you get really tired, and there's days where you ask yourself, wow, man, why am I doing this? I'm working myself way too hard. I should be doing this instead. But it pays off when you see the people next to you, and it pays off when you get to perform in front of an audience for the very first time, and the reaction and the impact that you can have on so many people's lives just from your hard work. It's one of the most inspiring things and the most motivating things for myself. It keeps me going every single day. The fact that I have the opportunity, and countless others have the opportunity, to motivate one another and to inspire and change someone's lives. I've had people who've messaged me, asking for advice for playing and stuff like that. And even though it's little stuff, it means the world to me, because some way, somehow, they looked at either a video of mine or a show or a performance of mine, and their lives changed somehow. The same way my life changed when I saw the Crossmen rehearse for the very first time. They had that impact on me, and now I have that impact on other people, and it's a great responsibility, but it's also a great honor to be able to have something like that, because not many people can do that. But that's something that drum corps opens up to anybody who does it. You have the opportunity to inspire your high school band. You have the opportunity to inspire the next kid or the next soloist in the later future. You have that power when you participate in this activity.
What's a typical day like on tour?
What's a typical day like on tour? So, a typical day on tour, usually, for tour, you wake up at roughly about 7 or 8 a.m. and you have your breakfast for about an hour. And sometimes you'll have a show day, and some days you'll just have rehearsal days on tour. Now, for a typical rehearsal day, you'll have roughly 3-4 hour blocks. Sometimes they're a little bit longer, but usually they're about 3-4 hour blocks. So it's about a 12-hour day of rehearsing outside. And you'll usually have a visual block where you just work on cleaning up the drill that you've set on the field, trying to make sure that everything comes together and all the forms look neat and clean. And then you take a break, you take an hour for lunch, and it's like clockwork. You go back, rinse, wash, repeat, and then you have a brass block where you start to either make changes in the music, changes in the show, or you just, keep working and repping on things just to clean it up to make it, more suitable for the judges. And then after that, you have your dinner for about roughly an hour. And after that, you have about a 4-hour ensemble, which is when you put everybody together. You put the color guard together, the percussion and the brass, and everybody gets together and, they work on specific chunks of the show all together, making sure that everybody lines up perfectly. And towards the end of the night, that's when you do your final run. And you just put all your energy in because that's the last thing you're going to do for the day. But for a typical show day, it's quite shortened. You have roughly one block, and you just go straight into ensemble, and you'll have that final run to do before you do it in front of a live audience. And I think that's one of the most riveting things that you could do. It's really energetic. It's really hard work, especially doing reps and reps of the same show all in the same day, especially when you have a show later that day. But it's also quite fun. It's also quite fun. Yeah.
How many people does a live audience entail?
Mm-hmm. So that also depends on the shows that we have. Sometimes we'll have shows at high schools, and sometimes we'll have regional shows. So we'll do them in either the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, or the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. And the high school shows, they do get a lot of people. I know at least every show that I've been to has had roughly 3,000 people there. And the most that I've ever seen was probably about 25,000 at Lucas Oil. And, Atlanta had about 20,000. Yeah, the regionals definitely have a lot of people. They could fill up a lot of seats, and it's nerve-wracking having that many people look at you and having that many people watch you and your performance. But it's also just so exciting because you're really putting yourself out there. And I know I was absolutely terrified the first time I walked out, like even at a high school show, because the audience is super close. They're right on the bleachers. You can see the faces of each and every single person. But then you just remind yourself, all right, I need to put on the best show possible for them, and I need to blow these stands away. And I think that drive and that sort of mindset helps inspire me to just give it my all and just give the entire corps its all to those people, because that's what they deserve. They're asking for a show, and they're asking to get their face blown off with with the brass. So
how do you prepare for this summer, both physically and mentally? And then did you have any tips for anybody else doing the same?
So a great way to prepare physically and mentally. Um, you have to take personal, responsibility for that. Although the core that you're marching with does help motivate you. They put you on a nice routine. You meet up with them monthly, so you're in check. They check in on you, see how you're doing with your playing, with your visuals, and some corps also do like a PT or like a fitness check. So they're making sure that you're healthy, you're going to be good when you march, and everybody's a little bit out of shape in the winter, and they just want to make sure they're kind of getting everybody a little bit in shape so they're ready to just hit the ground running for spring training. But one thing I really recommend is keeping up on your playing. When they give you video assignments, which they will, I definitely recommend getting those video assignments done as soon as possible. But not only that, but making sure they're as clean as you can possibly make them, because they're going to really like that if they see someone who's on their game, turning something in real early. But not only that, not just throwing something together real sloppy, but putting something together that's clean. And on a more physical standpoint, a lot of groups I've been with, especially like Cavaliers, we had a fitness routine, and we challenge each other, motivate each other to go on a run or to do this many sit-ups per day or this many push-ups, and it kind of just keeps us in line and keeps us in check. Make sure that we're doing the right thing for our bodies, making sure that we're not going to be injured halfway through the summer because we didn't do something that we could have done a few months beforehand. But on a more mental standpoint, just savoring the moments that you have with people here, whether that's at your college or at your high school or even at your work with your family. You're going to be gone for a couple of months, and some people might not be able to come out and see you. So just making sure that you're making those memories with those people, I think, is really important, because those memories can help you get through some tough times if you have any on the road. But just realizing what you're doing, getting excited about, hey, I have the opportunity to put out one of the best shows possible that DCI has ever seen, and just motivating yourself, realizing, hey, I'm here for a reason. They chose me for a reason, and I hold that responsibility for them. So now I have to give it my all, and I have to make sure that I'm there for them, and I'm there to help push this corps into success. And I think that's one of the best ways to be mentally prepared. Just realizing that you have a responsibility, but not only that, but you're going to have an amazing summer, because you're going to experience so many new things. You're going to meet so many new people, and you're going to be going so many new places, and all in the while you're going to get a great education, a great experience, and you're going to make some lifelong friends along the way.
So we've talked about drum corps a lot. What about the musical side? So what instruments do you play? What do you currently play? How long have you been playing trumpet?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a funny story. So my primary instrument now, at least, is trumpet. I also used to play the clarinet. That was my first instrument that I learned, so technically my primary instrument. I've started to pick up electric guitar, banjo, bass, in quarantine, just trying to teach myself some new stuff. I learned a little bit of saxophone, can play a little bit of mellophone. Started to learn piano a little bit, just trying to get my hands around every field of music and every field of every type of instrument, But so a fun story is that I started off on clarinet, and I had been playing that for roughly 5 years before I had heard of Drum Corps International. And when I first heard about Drum Corps International, and when I first realized I wanted to do it back in June or so, I realized, hey, I'm a clarinet, so I can't really participate in an all-brass group as a woodwind. And I got to thinking, I'm like, well, what if I teach myself to play a brass instrument? So I looked around, I was thinking, should I learn mellophone or something like that? But then I finally came to the idea, okay, trumpet is in the key of B flat, same key as a clarinet, so I'm gonna learn trumpet. So in August of 2017, I picked up my trumpet. I bought a cheap one from China, probably about $50, and I just started practicing 4 or 5 hours a day, every day. And would watch YouTube videos, try to learn different exercises. I'd watch drum corps, see if like what exercises they were doing, what fundamentals they were doing. Because roughly about the same time, early September of 2017, I decided to make the move of trying to audition for that group that I saw back in June, the Crossmen, for the upcoming season. So I got the audition material. I realized, oh wow, this is kind of difficult. I'm gonna have to start working real hard. So, my parents can attest to this. I would be in the garage 1 or 2 a.m. just playing, just trying to teach myself, trying to get my hands on new things. And I would listen to all these different musicians, try to get, inspiration and try to get ideas on what I can incorporate into my own playing skills. And roughly the audition came about the time November 2017, and I had been playing for roughly about 3 months then, and I decided to go in, and looking back at it, I did not know what I was doing. I was absolutely terrified, and I think my past self could agree with that. But I just wanted to put myself out there, and I really wanted to see what I was capable of, because I had never done anything like that before, and just exposing myself to something so that would make me so vulnerable. It's a really humbling moment. And I got a call back, surprisingly. I had no idea how I managed to pull that. And then December or so, I got cut, and I was a little upset, but then I got recommended over to that group in Atlanta, Georgia, called Spirit of Atlanta. And one part of me wanted to give up trumpet completely. And this was a moment where I had two paths in my life. I could either choose to just give up, keep playing clarinet, and go on with whatever I was going to do for my life, or go to that audition, send in a video, and see what they say. And something in me, made me choose that other path. For some reason, I can't really pinpoint the exact reason as to why, but I just had that gut feeling, I need to do this. So I put together a video audition for that group, Spirit, and they liked my video, and they said, we want you to come out to February camp. We've got about 9 spots left, and we've got 14 people auditioning, including you. And I said, okay, those odds are pretty good, so I might as well just risk it. So I drove 12 hours down to Atlanta, Georgia, and I just worked as hard as I could that entire weekend trying to prove myself. And, there was a part of me who told myself, okay, I'm probably going to get cut. I don't know if I'm going to make it. But at least I put myself out there, and at least I tried. And Sunday came around. They put up a list of two papers, and one had a list of so-and-so names, and the other list had so-and-so names, and it included mine. And they said, go to this room if you're on this list, and go to this room if you're on this list. So I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know what to expect. I walked in, and I was telling myself, okay, they're probably telling me I got cut after that weekend. But then I start seeing, people who had marched before with the little deltas, and I was like, okay, or maybe they're just really bad or something, But then the brass caption head walks in, and this was February 18th. February 16th, 2018. Another really important day in my life. And he comes in and he says to all of us, he says, I assume you all know what's about to happen. Congratulations to everybody. You guys are members of the 2018 Spirit of Atlanta Horn Line. And I just felt like a weight on my shoulders just completely fall off, because I had put myself in such a vulnerable situation, and in a situation where I could really just fail, and it would be a huge hard failure for me. But somehow, some way, that motivation, that drive just pulled on through, and I can honestly say that single moment right there led me onto that other path the path that I'm on right now. And that path and that contract, those words changed my life forever. It really did. And there's so many moments like that with drum corps. There's so many moments, whether it's like a contract or seeing a group live for the first time, that can really influence you and inspire you. And they leave such a lasting impact on who you are as a person. And it's just, from then on, like, the rest is history. I've been playing trumpet. This is about my 3rd year of trumpet, and over that time, I auditioned for the Cavaliers, and I played lead trumpet there. And then I went out and I made a really, really risky move, flying out to California and auditioning for the only group I wanted to audition for, the Blue Devils. And somehow I got a lead contract over there. And it just all came to be. And somehow that single moment, though, that single moment of getting that contract is what led me to be inspired to continue my playing.
How did you feel getting cut? And what would you say to somebody else who's in the same position?
So getting cut from the Crossmen was, it was a humiliating moment at first, and it was, it really upset me, and it brought me down for quite a bit, yeah. And I sort of lost that drive and that motivation to keep playing after that for a bit. For roughly 2 weeks, I didn't touch my horn whatsoever because I was just so at loss of words and at anything to even pick up my instrument or even want to do anything with drum corps, because I was really set on that corps. That was my dream corps, because that was the one corps that inspired me to even pursue something like that. And it still kind of upsets me to this day, but I'm a firm believer in the idea that everything in life happens for a reason. And there's times where I definitely don't believe that at times, but then there's other times where it proves me wrong, and everything somehow comes together. And the only motivation, the only advice that I can give to anybody who gets cut is to just please don't give up, because I could have given up right then and there. I could have set down the trumpet, I could have picked up my clarinet again, and I could have just said, oh, well, it was a nice try, maybe in another life. But something inside of me didn't do that. And I think there's that little something inside of everybody, in any negative situation whatsoever. The negativity is going to, succumb and overfill your mind. But you have to find that little bit of light, that little bit of hope that's inside of you. And that little bit of hope, for me personally, was that opportunity to audition for Spirit of Atlanta. And I think if everybody can find that little bit of hope inside of them, it could really, make those people overall much happier with who they are. Because then, rather than giving up on something, you go on and you keep pushing. And even if that doesn't work, you can say, hey, at least I gave it my all, rather than, oh, well, I gave up after that, so I guess it's my fault then. And not only that, but if you prove to those people at the camp that you're a hardworking individual and that you love this activity and you have a passion for it, and if you truly do, you can even talk to those people and say, hey, I know I didn't make it, but I want to be able to march. I want to be able to march some way, somehow. I don't care if it's anywhere. I really want to get that experience as soon as possible. If you say that to those people, and they'll really appreciate something like that, because the one thing that drum corps staff and just people in drum corps in general love is grit, motivation, and an overall passion and drive and love for the activity. Because those same people that came back to teach and to educate the future members of the corps, they have that same passion. The reason why they came back is because it left such a monumental mark on their lives. And if they see a kid who wants to be exposed to that awakening and to that light that is drum corps, they're going to help you in any way possible. So they'll recommend you to other corps. They'll say, hey, I've got a kid here, although he didn't make it at my corps, I think he'd be a great match for you at this corps. And that's what those people at Crossmen did for me. They actually helped me, get in touch with the people at Spirit of Atlanta a little bit and a few other places. But, because I loved Spirit so much and their style, that's why I went over there. But that can be for anybody who goes to audition. If you tell them, hey, I still want to do this season, they'll help you in any way possible. And I think that's probably the best advice that I can give to anybody. Don't give up, and don't just drop everything and just say, hey, it's over. I tried. Keep pushing, because sooner or later that's really going to pay off one way or another. And everything in life happens for a reason. And whether you march that season or not, it's for the best. And if you really enjoy it, you'll find a way. You'll find a way.
How does that carry over into everyday life?
Well,
not necessarily for you, but for anybody who has a similar story.
Oh, for anybody. Well, personally for me, I'm one who I like to prove others wrong, and I like to show people, hey, I can do this. I'm capable of doing this. And at that moment, I remember being told, after auditioning, hey, we think you're ready for drum corps, but we don't think you're ready for us or a top 12 group. And you might need a few years before you can do something like that. And I could have gotten down from something like that, but instead I let that motivate me. I let that rejection and negativity motivate me to pursue something as big as the next year. Oh, hey, guess what? I'm at Spirit of Atlanta, and you know what? We just beat you at a competition. And, you were telling me that I can't be in a top 12 corps, or better yet, the next year. Hey, you know what? I'm auditioning for Cavaliers. Oh, guess what? I just got a lead trumpet contract over there. Isn't that swell? And I all mean it. I mean it in good nature. It's nothing to get back at anybody, because I love everybody in the activity, but it's also just, something to personally satisfy myself with the idea of, hey, I was told that I couldn't do something, but I just proved not only them wrong, but I proved myself that I can actually be something. I can do something, and I can go for things that people have dreamed of doing and pursuing. And I think, one of the most rewarding things, especially that just happened recently, was when I had auditioned for Blue Devils and got my contract at the very first camp. The same people that were veterans of Crossmen, that I asked advice for to audition at Crossmen, those same people wanted to come over to Blue Devils, and after I got my contract, asked me, hey, what do I need to do in order to get into this place? What do you recommend me doing? And can I get your help? And it's just crazy how the tables turned in that situation. And I think at that moment, it really opened my eyes. I had a sort of epiphany. I'm like, wow, I had really made some change in myself in these past few years, and for the better. And I think, being able to have a story like that and being able to just, prove to yourself that you can do whatever you set your mind to, I think that's one of the best things that I can recommend to anybody. If someone tells you that you can't do something, whether that's for drum corps or whether that's for anything in life, don't just get shut down there. Question it and, get to work. And if you get to work, sooner or later, it might pay off. And those same people might be asking you for help.
Are you satisfied?
In all honesty, I never want to be satisfied. A lot of people, they tell me, oh my gosh, Adam, you're at Blue Devils, 19 times they've won. Do you feel like you're at the top? Do you feel satisfied? Or do you feel like there's no further step that you can go? And my thing is, if I ever feel complacent or satisfied with being where I am, I'm doing something wrong, because in my mind, I always want to improve, and I always want to be a better person, whether that's being a better player, a better performer, or just better at being a human. And I just feel that the people who end up being satisfied and staying content with who they are and never trying to improve or to grow are the same people that fall in the long run. But the people who keep motivating themselves and pushing themselves and driving themselves to grow and grow and grow, learn something new, pick up a new instrument, or just be a better boyfriend, or be, a better brother or friend to people. I think those are the people who are bound to be the most successful people in life, because they're never satisfied. They're always able to adapt to the situation. They're always willing to improve when they notice a flaw within themselves. Now, in contrary to that, I do think it's important to realize your accomplishments and to be proud of what you've been able to accomplish, because I think that's important. You got to give yourself some credit. You're not going to be able to hit every single time. You're gonna miss a few times, and you're gonna fail, and you're gonna get down, and that's it. It's gonna be a really rough blow sometimes in life, but that doesn't mean that you stop there, and that doesn't mean that you don't think about everything you've been able to accomplish in your life prior to that. But I do think it's important, however, that you always seek for more and more and more. Not so much in the sense of greediness, but more so in just the improvement of oneself and how that improvement can inspire and impact other people. Because in the end, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this to help others. I'm not trying to, be able to say to myself, "Oh, I've marched at Blue Devils. I've been playing for only a couple of years." No, I want to prove to people that I started from the bottom. I was a clarinet player who had no idea what was going on. I lived in a little town in Missouri, and now I've made something of myself, and I'm not stopping there, and I'm never going to stop. And the second I stop, I'm either dead or I can't play anymore, because I think it's important to have that drive, that constant motivation in one's life, because it makes it exciting. It makes life exciting, and it can really inspire people to better themselves. And if you have that power, which everybody has that power to better each other, I think that can overall just make the world a better place. Because if everyone's motivated to improving oneself, whether that's the content of their character, or just the way they are and the way they do things, we're bound to be a perfect society then. Off topic from drum corps, just even in life in general, always seek for improvement and growth in yourself, and how that growth and that improvement in oneself can make a positive impact on the people around you. Not even the people around you, but the people thousands of miles away who see you on social media or watch your show. It's important to never be satisfied, but it's important to be proud of what you've been able to accomplish. I'll say it as that.
What do you do for fun?
So what I like to do for fun, and especially in Orlando, that gives you a lot of opportunities. I'm a huge Disney fan, and I have to thank my sister for that, because she's really exposed me to that. So things I like to do for fun, I love to go to Disney. I am a huge nature person. I love nature with such a passion, and I love to just be outdoors, whether that's going kayaking or swimming out in a lake or springs, or even hiking, and just looking at beautiful views and finding new places to explore. That's one of my favorite things to do. But not only that, one of my favorite things to do is to travel. I love traveling, whether that's like a 2-hour road trip somewhere and just going camping, or whether that's a flight all the way across the country. It really doesn't matter. If I'm getting out of my comfort zone and I'm exposing myself to everything that life has to offer, I know I'm doing the right thing. And I just love being around people. I love learning about people. I love, meeting new people, and I love getting to know someone so well, and just, building that bond and building that relationship with someone. It's really important to be that, and it's really important to have that connection with people in your life. But other than that, I'd have to say, I love playing trumpet, as obvious as that is. I find it so much fun because I find new things to say on my horn that sometimes I can't really say in words, and there's some emotions that I can express to someone through the horn that I can't express through words. And that's why I love trumpet so much, and that's why I find it so much fun. But overall, there's so many things in life that are fun, and I just want to explore all of that.
All right, so if you had to pick 3 words to describe yourself with no explanation, what would they be?
Wow. 3 words to describe myself. Ambitious, dedicated, inspired.
Interesting. What is your biggest skill?
Wow, my biggest skill. I mean, quite obviously, I'd have to say my biggest skill is trumpet. But yeah, what else? I don't really know what else I'm good at. Do you want other than trumpet, or
maybe rephrase that? What is your biggest, let's say, interpersonal skill?
Interpersonal skill. Well, I gotta say, my biggest interpersonal skill is to, grab and create a connection through words. A lot of times, it's not to be a little egotistical or anything, but a lot of times I've noticed this. I've been able to just build a connection so easily with people, just based off of kindness and just showing that you care and a sense of empathy. I think that goes a really long way, and that's why I try to dedicate it into the way I am as a person every single day, because I think it's important to be empathetic, and it's important to have a sense of kindness, because to get on a more serious topic, this world isn't a perfect place. In fact, it can be a really cruel place sometimes, and I know everybody in life needs a little bit of positivity, and everybody in life needs a little bit of kindness, because you never know what anybody's going through, whether that's someone at a fast food restaurant who's acting real mad and fumed and they just don't treat you right, or if it's just one of your close family members, or if it's a loved one, and they need you to be there for them. I think it's important to let them know through words and through actions that you care for them, and that you love them, and that you're there for them. And I think for that, I try my best to do that. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it, because I'll never admit that I'm perfect at anything, because I'm not. I never will be. But I'll always seek for perfection in myself.
So that was your biggest skill. What's your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness, I would definitely have to say, is I can really get down on myself sometimes. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, whether that's for, how I play an excerpt, or if that's how I'm just living my life. A lot of times I don't like to go back on the topic of never being satisfied. With that, I can kind of get a little too far and I just don't give myself any credit whatsoever. I forget to recognize like what I've been able to accomplish. And sometimes I'll tell myself, well, I'm not good enough for this. Why am I at Blue Devils? What did they see in me? Because sometimes like it's hard to see that in yourself. I think just not being able to recognize, what I've been able to accomplish and my skill, and just who I am as a person. People say like I leave an impact on them, and people say that, I'm so sweet and so kind, but sometimes it's hard for me to believe that, because, I never want to settle for myself, and we're going back to the idea of complacency. I never want to think, oh yeah, I'm kind, I'm a nice person. In fact, I'm pretty humble, because that's not how it works. If you say you're humble, you're not humble. So I never want to admit that I'm perfect at something, and sometimes I get a little carried away with that by just not giving myself any credit whatsoever.
What are your long-term goals?
I have a few goals in mind, and we're going back to the idea of the different paths in life. I love music education, and I love being able to inspire others and to show them how much music has affected my life and how much it can affect their lives. But then recently, I've been getting so interested in the concept of performing and how that can also have as much of an influence on others as education can. And I've had that more recently, because I've been starting to talk to a trumpet player from the Main Street Philharmonic, which is a band that's in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, and just seeing how much that guy enjoys playing and enjoys performing for others, and the friends that he's made and the impact he's made on so many people, including my life alone. It makes me realize that both of those paths, no matter which one I take and no matter which one I end up on, will somehow affect people in a positive way. And in the end, if I'm affecting people in a positive way, then I know I'm doing the right thing. And I think for my long-term goal, whether that's music education, being a high school band director or a college professor for trumpet, or being a trumpet player at the Main Street Philharmonic and doing performances and gigs all across the Orlando area and sometimes even across the country, no matter which path I choose, I know no matter what, both of those paths include inspiring others and making a change in the world. And as long as I have that to hold on to, I know I'm doing the right thing, no matter where I go.
And what inspires you?
Wow. I honestly cannot pinpoint a single person a single-handed person that can inspire me or has inspired me to pursue, what I do. There's countless people, and that can go for educators like John Meehan or Kevin LaBeouf, who are both brass caption heads, one at the Blue Devils, the other at Cavaliers. But it also goes mostly for the members that I get to march with. A friend of mine, Austin Berry, introduced me to the idea of lead playing, and he's such a kind-hearted person, and he's so genuine, and he's really hardworking, and he's a great player, and that's the type of person I want to be. A lot of lead players can get in their heads like, oh, I'm the best, and they can be kind of rude, and I don't want to be that type of person. I want to be something different, and Austin's something different. He's a hardworking individual, and he's, by God, one of the best players I've ever known. But at the same time, he can still be a great person. I think it's important to be a great person over a great player. If you're a good person, I'm going to respect you way more than if you're just a great player but a terrible person. But it goes for countless others. My friend Brandon Prophet and people at Spirit of Atlanta, Jacoby Henry. Just there's countless individuals that have inspired me. And more recently, the trumpet player at the Main Street Philharmonic, Matthew Mill, he has really opened my eyes to the idea of, wow, I might be able to actually pursue music performance and performing on the trumpet. I can make a career out of this, and I can have fun while doing it at the same time, because I know he has an amazing time over there. And once again, he's one of those people who's such a kind-hearted person. He's hardworking, but that doesn't, at the same time, he's a great player, an amazing player, and an amazing person. And I think those are the people that inspire me the most. The amazing people who are also amazing players. It doesn't matter so much to me if you're an amazing player, but just the people who leave a positive impact. They inspire me to leave a positive impact on other people as well.
Awesome. Who inspires you outside of music or drum corps?
I gotta say, someone who really inspired me from the get-go was my sister. My sister and I, we've had like a great bond, and she's always been there for me, and I've always been there for her as much as I can. She's inspired me for pretty much everything I've done in my life. She's opened my eyes to band. She was the one who told me when I was a 5th grader going into 6th grade, hey, you should do band, it's pretty fun. And she was the person who told me, hey, don't quit band because band camp was rough the first week of freshman year. You should keep doing it. And she was the one who kept me going on that path. And not only that, but once again, she's an amazing person, and she leaves a positive impact on people, and she inspires not only me but countless others. And I think she can really make the world a better place, and I just want to be able to do that for people as well. And I think her positive impact and her aura that she has on people, I think that inspired me, and I wanted to develop my own aura and my own ability to do that for others, whether even if it's different from the career path that she chooses. Some way, somehow, I'm still making the world a better place and making people better in some way, shape, or form.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier how a lot of people look up to you in the activity. Are a lot of those like high school kids, or like where is a lot of that coming from?
So for the most part, a lot of the people who reach out to me and ask me questions and are someone called inspired. I still can't even imagine how they can be inspired by me, but the people who reach out to me are mostly high school players, high schoolers who are new to the idea of drum corps, who have done high school marching band, but want to get it to the next level and want to pursue something even greater than what they have at their own activity back at home. And the reason why I try to be nice to those people, and the reason why I try to help them out in any way I can, is because I see a lot of myself in those kids. Because I was that kid at a certain point. I was messaging people who had done the activity, asking for their help, asking for their advice. And, I feel like the only right thing to do is to give back to the community like that, and to help those who were in the same boat as I was, and to hopefully inspire the next soloist, or to inspire the next person who is a pivotal icon in the drum corps activity. But although it's for the most part high schoolers who message me, I even have some college students who message me. Like when I first got into Blue Devils, I had some college students who had marched other corps from Crossmen message me and say, hey, how do you do it? How do you do it? What advice can you give? And I think that's something that's so cool and so astounding about drum corps and about music in general. There's no age limit on who you can inspire. I've had people who are 70 years old reach out to me, say, wow, that was an amazing performance. I used to do drum corps. I really miss drum corps, and you made me relive my most precious moments of my life through your performance. And once again, I mean, inspiration holds no age. You can inspire high schoolers just getting into the activity who are eager to earn a contract somewhere, or you can inspire someone who is 75 years old, who has lived through all of that, but gets to relive it once again through what you do.
What are the differences between just the different styles, the energy, the shows? What are the similarities, differences between those areas of the marching arts?
Well, first off, one thing I'd like to point out between high school and drum corps is that for high school, you have a variety of students. And although some of them love the marching arts and some of them see a career in marching arts and music education, a lot of the times marching band in high school isn't a top priority for the student. You know, you have your classes, you have your other extracurricular activities, and not only that, you have your family life. So that all comes into play with the overall morale of a high school ensemble and how far they can achieve greatness. But with drum corps, everybody there in some way or another is doing it because they love music and they have a passion for marching. And I have not known a single person who just does drum corps because they don't like marching, because you're doing the wrong thing if you're doing drum corps. But a lot of the people in drum corps are pursuing music education. They want to become educators. They want to become music performers. So you're either going into performance or education. And you have some people who pursue something like engineering or another field or another major. But for the most part, everybody is on the same page. Everybody is motivated and dedicated and set on the idea that, hey, we want to put out the best possible production that we can make and produce for this season. For high school, it's, you have a lot of other things that come into play. Of course, you want to put out a great production, but not everybody is thinking, I want to put out the best show in the world for everybody. And not only that, but a lot of high school shows seek inspiration from drum corps shows. Whether that's music, whether that's visuals that you do, whether that's even drill. I know some high schools that take drill from other drum corps to use it because it fits with their show theme. And not only that, but just the overall show theme itself. It's inspired by some drum corps. I mean, there's high schoolers out there and high school bands that I saw a high school band that did Tilt by Bluecoats. Now, it definitely wasn't the same, but it inspired them. And I think the biggest difference is just the overall vibe and setup, where everybody in drum corps is based on the idea of, hey, we're trying to get better and we're going to work really hard to this. But then in high school, it's a little more relaxed, and it's more set like, hey, we want to give you this experience, and whether you love it or hate it, you still get to have that experience. But I think that's important. It's important to just start it off slowly, because if you have a program that, is too extreme and too violent in the way of its teachings, then you're going to push some kids away. And you might potentially push away a kid who wanted to actually pursue music. I've known countless students who have been a part of marching bands that are organized and administrated very poorly. And that then pushes them away from the idea of ever pursuing music education. I think that's one of the saddest things that can ever happen. Pushing someone away from their dreams or their goals because you scare them. I think marching band and high school marching band should be a place where everybody can feel welcome and open to the concept. And whether you like it or not, you still get to experience it. And you're still going to hold on to it for a part of your life, because, whether you learn something about your performance, whether you learn something about your playing, or whether you learn something visually, you learn something about who you are as a person and your life itself, and you're going to carry that with you for the rest of your life. But, I think both organizations can still have the same impact, although different organizations hold different intensities.
This one's a little bit of a different one. So
Yeah.
with the 2020 season being canceled due to the COVID-19 outbreak earlier in the year, how are you continuing to build those relationships and learn from your staff, and how is everything continuing through the off season, or the extended off season, if you will? And is is it really an off season?
So I can't speak for every single drum corps, but I can speak for what the Blue Devils have done. And I think they've done an incredible job in staying connected with the members and the staff. At least once or twice a month, we would hold Zoom meetings where all the members get together and all the staff gets together, and we're just talking through, certain things. Hey, what do we want to do for next season? Or even if it's more lighthearted and less serious, like, oh, here's a history night, and we're going to learn about the 2014 season. It creates that social bond, but it also keeps everybody in mind that, hey, this is still a season, and you can still come back next year, and we're going to be hitting the ground running, and we're going to be on fire next season. And I think it's important to keep that idea in mind for all the members, and not only that, but for all the staff even, because although it's nice to take a little break, because it definitely, I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't count it like a real season. I could still count it because we've had winter camps and we prepared for what was going to be this summer, but at the same time, it is far different from a typical season, and I think everybody knows that. But they've made it clear, telling all of us, hey, even for the new guys, you guys are Blue Devils. We aren't just going to say you aren't because of unprecedented virus came and ruined the summer. You guys are still Blue Devils. I mean, they still gave us a Corps jacket. They still kept in touch with us, and they still congratulated us on finals night. And not only that, just keeping in mind, hey, we still have a season, and we're going to have an even better season next year. The sections, they stay connected really well. I mean, socially, I feel very connected to all the people in my section. We have just fun Zoom meetings where we get to know each other. We get to goof off and just mess around, and it's all lighthearted. And although we do want to keep up on our playing, and although we want to, stay on top of that stuff, we also are building one of the most important things to a drum corps season, and that is a connection between the members. If you don't have that connection and that bond between the members, then you don't have a season, and you don't have a good standing drum corps. But if you have a good connection with your members and your peers, I think that's what drives places like Blue Devils and Santa Clara Vanguard and even Bluecoats to success. And I'm very hopeful and very positive. I'm looking forward to what 2021 is going to have in store, because a lot of the people in our section, I've never felt so close to my section before, and that's only going to grow as time goes on.
Potential benefits you see for 2021 having this longer gap?
Well, there's a few things I see that are positive, potential things that could, affect the 2021 season. And that goes into, first off, the show. The show might not be exactly the same, but at least we have more time to design a show. The perfect show, the most perfect show we can have for the Blue Devils. And that goes for even other drum corps too. I don't know if some people will stick with their 2020 show or they'll move on to a different concept. But the thing is, you have more time to put more thought and dedication into it. Because typically, you have staff and administration talking about the show design from September, and they want to get it done and roughly put together within January. So that only gives you a couple of months. But I mean, the people here, and given our situation, we've pretty much had almost over a year, if not more, to plan the next show. And that just makes me overall excited for every single drum corps in the 2021 season. It's going to be on fire. It's going to be one of the best seasons that the activity has ever seen. And that's going to go for every corps, because everybody's going to be so eager to get on that field and so eager to put some form of a concept and show on the field that everybody's going to be on fire. And it's really going to change up the logistics and how everybody's going to score. And I'm very excited to see how that all is going to play out.
Awesome. So I've heard drum corps get compared to a lot of different things. Things that come to mind: musical theater mixed with dance, mixed with the actual performance part, like the musical part. What would you compare it to, or can you compare it to anything?
Wow. Personally, for me, it's really difficult to compare drum corps to anything. Of course, it has incorporated certain aspects of everything: musical dance, musical theater, sometimes even choral work with singing, and especially marching band and the marching arts, without a doubt. But it's so unique on its own because there's so many different aspects that you don't get to experience with things such as musical theater or other activities such as that. I mean, the whole concept of traveling and sleeping on gym floors, I mean, that's pretty unique. I don't know any other place that does that, really. But on a more serious note, I mean, just the impact that it has on its performers and just everybody who's involved in the activity. It's something like I've never seen before. And I don't think any other activity or organization can do something as that, because there's something inside of every single person that has done drum corps. They act a certain way, and they have certain morals, and they have certain standards and rules to life that they follow, and they stick with them for the rest of their lives. And it's something that you can't obtain from any other hobby or activity that you do. It's something that's unique to the organization and unique to the people who get to experience that on its own. It's definitely, I definitely have to say I cannot compare it to anything, because it's so unique on its own.
What advice would you have for someone who wants to do drum corps, but maybe they can't afford it, or maybe they don't think they can afford it? What resources, tips, tricks, anything would you have for them?
There's a lot of people of many different backgrounds who participate in drum corps. And not only is that regional, but that's also financially. You have a lot of different people from a lot of different economic backgrounds. You have some people who are very wealthy who do drum corps, and they don't have to worry about that all that much. But then you have some people who struggle to even march a single season, and that's okay. That is okay. But the thing is, corps are willing to work with you. Drum corps are willing to work around and help you in any way they can to make sure that you can participate for the season. It's important to get your fees in, but it's also important to stay humane and make them realize, which a lot of organizations do realize, that you're human. You're not going to be able to afford everything in the first place if you can. If you let them know, hey, I have some financial issues, but I know I'll be willing to make it work. They'll help you out in any way they can. They'll reduce the amount they expect from you each month, and you can just pay it back towards the summer. And I can't speak for all the organizations, because everybody has their own different financial methods, but they're willing to help you out in any way they can. I mean, personally for me, when I marched for the 2019 season with the Cavaliers, I was working 3 jobs. And I was just trying to put as much money together. And of course I had some help from my parents. I had some help from my family, which I'm very thankful for, because not everybody gets to have that. But I did have the responsibility of funding myself for money on tour, and not only that, but for my flights. And especially for this season with Blue Devils, I mean, I was very concerned, especially after just moving to Orlando. I was very concerned that I wasn't even going to be able to march for the 2020 season altogether. And somehow we put it together. I just kept working. I picked up a job here, and I just kept working and put that money to the side. And eventually things got better, and somehow we were able to pull something together. But it's never impossible. If you know you're in a bad financial situation for drum corps, don't tell yourself it's impossible. if you really want it to happen, if you really want to make it work, and that goes for anything in life, if you want anything in life, you'll make it work if it means that much to you. And that goes for either drum corps, that can go for a relationship even, that can just go for anything you want in life so badly and so desperately. If you're passionate enough and they see that, and you see that within yourself, you're going to be able to make things work. So I wouldn't be too worried or concerned about being financially stable. It's important that you start saving for drum corps because it is an expensive activity, and it has been getting a little bit more expensive, but it's also just important to realize, hey, I can make this work. We'll work around these things some way, somehow. And if you can't, that's totally okay. No one's going to judge you for that because, life is tough. And sometimes you can't pull things together. I mean, we have some members who were, even at Cavaliers, we had some people who drop out because they weren't going to be able to afford it for the season. And that's okay. That's okay. It's not something to shame anybody for, because everybody lives their own lives. And, nobody knows what everybody's going through. Everybody goes through something different. And I think it's important to have that sense of empathy. And the organizations have that sense of empathy. And if they realize you're going through something difficult, they're going to help you out.
Is there anything else you want to share on drum corps or your experience in the marching arts, or just anything in general?
So one thing that I have to say is that drum corps has absolutely changed my life. And it's made me the person that I am today. And I honestly can't thank the organization enough for what it has done to my life and how it's made me for the better. I've met countless individuals who are some of my lifelong friends because of it. And I've really been inspired to pursue this career in my life, all thanks to drum corps. It opened my eyes to how impactful something like music education and even performance can be for people. And one thing I have to say is that if you're on the edge about auditioning, if you're on the edge about even participating or going out there and marching a season, I just gotta say, give it a shot. Put yourself out there and do it, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I just wanted to do it and see, because I wanted to see what it was about, because I was interested. And if you're interested, you should put yourself out there, because who knows, it might change your life like it changed mine. It has such a great impact on so many people. And even if you don't pursue a career in music, you're still going to hold some aspect in something that you learned from that organization with you for the rest of your life. Because I know I definitely am going to. And countless others who have participated have done that too. Some people go into the medical field. Some people go into engineering. A lot of people don't even go into music after marching drum corps. But some way, somehow, they hold on the aspects and the fundamentals that they've learned from drum corps with them. And if you're on the edge on whether or not you want to do it, give it a shot. If you do one season and you don't like it, then so be it. You could still say that you marched a season. I know some people who marched one season, it wasn't their thing, and they just stopped. But that's okay. No one's going to judge you, but you can still say years down the road that you did it, because you only have so much time. I mean, the age out is 21, 22, and if you never do it, you never can again. But being able to say it, that you've done it, even if it's just for one season, it's a great honor. It's a great honor, and it's something great for your reputation, and it's something that you hold with you forever.
Where can people find out more about you? Do you have any social medias, any websites, anything you want to mention?
Mm-hmm. So usually I just use Instagram and YouTube. People can find me on there on Instagram at Adam T. Zapf. Or you can just search me up on YouTube, Adam Zapf. I do a bunch of trumpet covers there. I've been trying to start up a few more. But yeah, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms, I'm sure. But those are the most important ones right there. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, be sure to like, comment if you learned something, and be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the channel. And if you really want to, you can click that little bell icon so you stay notified every single time a new interview comes out. We hope you guys enjoy, and if you guys like some of my content and want to check it out, be sure to check out Adam T. Zapf on Instagram or Adam Zapf on YouTube, where I post some trumpet videos. Other than that, stay tuned for an upcoming giveaway coming out soon about DCI, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.